probably just going to keep this kind of minimal. I apologize for that. If you're not a fan of either the box or the top 20, well then, I guess you're welcome. Be on your best behavior. Like that, I feel like that's absent. Stuff gets added to my to-do list every day. Like, that doesn't make me special. Franchisee that owned those, he ended up getting arrested for tax evasion and ended up driving down a pier in Atlantic City. My boss would do, illegally, I might add, what am I going to come back to? Howard Hughes and become a recluse? The hardest of brick walls? Hottest of dumpster fires? Maybe I'll figure it out by next week, but probably not.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Hard Rock Lunchbox. If you're watching on YouTube, the top 20, it is October 24th, 2024. Welcome, one and all. I am not feeling so great, so I'm probably just going to keep this kind of minimal. I apologize for that. Or if you're not a fan of either the box or the top 20, well then, I guess you're welcome. Let's just do a little of the light housekeeping. There's a new top 20 out today. It's called Smoke Mirrors and Orange Paint. I talk a little bit about, some of the political landscape that's going on right now. I talked about some of the stuff that was going on with armed militias in North Carolina, some of the Kamala Harris interviews, and I did what I think was a pretty basic but thorough intro of how tariffs work in an economy. So if anybody's interested in any of that, I encourage you to go back and check it out. Honestly, I have not had a chance to watch it, so I think it's okay. I mean, maybe it's okay. I honestly just don't even know. Over at Bacon is my podcast. They have a couple episodes out this week. Rediscovering Your Passion and Overcoming Guilt, Discussions and Drinks, The Power of Buddy Christ Compels You, and Talking 80s and 90s Music, Kevin Smith, and a new EP. And creating a custom Clerks guitar for Kevin Smith, which I was interested in checking out. I just have not had the chance to do so. It has been it's been a really busy week. I usually get roped into meetings from time to time in my job and stuff, and I guess it was Tuesday where I think I had like 5, and I don't know that mentally I've quite recovered from that. Now, if that sounds very lightweight, like maybe it is, I don't know. You know, I can't handle a lot of things, and I guess meetings is just kind of one of them. It was a kind of like super uber draining, like, and maybe people that are in meetings all day understand that already, and you've sort of trained up for it like a marathon and can do it better than I. But man, it definitely kicked my ass pretty good. But, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's change of seasons. I don't know if it's more sleep problems. I don't know if it's just some sort of general malaise, but I'm not feeling so great lately. And it's starting to wear on me, you know. I was actually just saying that it's getting harder and harder to sort of handle things that are inbound, because if you don't ever get the opportunity to kind of not only rest and reset, but like if you don't get the opportunity to kind of get back in your footing, or get back on your footing, or in stable ground or whatever, like, I don't know, the ways to need to be knocked over are just there's just so many. They're like infinite at that point. I feel like very much like it's like watching a Street Fighter game. Like my kid plays Street Fighter, and I've watched him win tournaments and stuff like that, and I know that basically just knocking somebody off their balance, you know, and you just keep attacking is really like a really good way to win those matches. And it just sort of feels like that is the kind of thing that keeps on happening. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know I speak to people from time to time that are definitely struggling with their own struggles, because that's what people tend to do, and will kind of commiserate over things that are common and stuff. you know, a lot of times, like, you talk about, like, the political environment and the political divide and just sort of how exhausting it is. And, you know, for me, a lot of it's the kind of sort of like the intellectual divide is a big one for me, but, you know, I don't even know how to put it. I want to put it like kind of like the emotional divide of something, like the I guess the lack of just class and compassion and kind of just like the colder world that we're living in these days. And I don't know that it's all political. I feel like that was a big part of it, but only because it started to allow people to be on their worst behavior. You know, like how classically, like, parents would send their kids off into the world, like, be on your best behavior. Like that, I feel like that's absent. And, you know, there's just so much, like, cool and cold and just negative and just completely, like, draining to anybody that's, like, tied or tuned into it, and anybody that's just like trying to get from, like, point A to point B. To not be able to do it just simply and easily is just, I mean, for me, I gotta tell you, it is just wearing me out. And I don't know what that means for the future for everybody. I don't even know what that means for the future for me. I just know that those struggles are real, and they're often, and they're becoming more and more often, which is troubling to say the least. And I don't know how to build up those reserves. I mean, I talked theoretically maybe 2 months ago at this point, like what that sort of respite would even look like, and to just try and consider, like, removing yourself entirely from everything that you do every day. Like, what would that look like? And more importantly, what would it look like when you come back to it? Because that's the thing that worries me. Like, Kaz and I actually have had this conversation, and Noodle too. The three of us have jobs that are non-redundant, right? That means there's really nobody else doing that job. And I know that Noodle had gone on vacation earlier this year, and he spent the whole week before, like, handling all the accounting and all the books for everything he could imagine that was going to come the week he was going to be away. And then he spent basically some time when he got back fixing that. Kaz was saying that, like, the last time he had gone on vacation, like, he actually had a, like, not that he came back early, but, like, he extended his vacation so that he, like, extended his vacation days, his time off days, so that he could catch up on the last couple of days before he actually returned to work. And I know that I've said here, and I've certainly said privately and even at my job, like, the problem for me taking time off is that, you know, stuff gets added to my to-do list every day. Like, that doesn't make me special. It just makes it very difficult to take any time out from that. I know I've had jobs in my life that give me perspective on what those things feel like. I know when I was in college, I managed a couple of different Domino's pizza places. It's not that big of a deal. It was before they started doing, like, all the extra food, so it was really just pizzas and sodas at that point. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. But, like, I did that. But when you didn't work a shift, right? Like, somebody else was there to make pizzas, to send out drivers and sodas and inventory and all that other stuff. My next job after that, because the guy I was working for at Domino's, he owned like 5. He owned East Northport, Comac, Smithtown, East Islip, and Brentwood. And the guy, the franchisee that owned those, he ended up getting arrested for tax evasion. He was in a police chase and ended up driving down a pier in Atlantic City before he realized he was on a pier and not a road, and had to stop and was taken into custody immediately. And I've never seen him since. So the job I had immediately after that, the day after that, as a matter of fact, I worked at Roadway Packaging System, which is these days it's FedEx Ground. FedEx bought them after I worked there, and my job was loading. I used to load trucks. In fact, the truck that I was responsible for was the truck that went to Columbus, Ohio. And one of the things I had to do is we had to kind of sort out any boxes that were going to like one of several zip codes. And by several, I mean like probably like 100 zip codes. And I would load that into this truck because all the other trucks would go to Harrisburg, to one of the national regional things, but Columbus was very specific to that area. And I remember this vividly. And as a 18 and 19-year-old kid, I understand why I was tolerating this sort of treatment as an employee. But what would happen is my boss would have like a really tight budget for time, and I worked at that time I was working 5 to 10 at night after school down in Bayshore. And a lot of times there were nights where there was not enough time to do this, but you had to pack out the truck. You at least had to unload all the vans from the drivers that came in. So there were often nights where we would stay well past 10 o'clock. And what my boss would do, illegally I might add, was punch us out at 10 o'clock. And then just sort of mentally keep track of the time that we had afterwards. And then he would say, all right, well, tomorrow you can just come in late. You know, if you stayed a half hour late, just come in a half hour late tomorrow. And I'll punch you in at 5. So at that time, it was like, okay, cool. But what would happen is that I would come in at, say, 5:30. And then all the boxes that still needed to go on the Columbus truck were just sitting on the dock. So it wasn't so much that I wasn't doing any less work. All my work was there ready for me. I might as well have just come in at 5 o'clock instead of actually really busting my ass to do 5 hours of work in 4.5 hours. And that's my little paint of what vacation feels like for me. Because even if I did take a vacation, like, what am I going to come back to? Like another extra weeks of work that normally gets added, plus a week of work that I didn't do. It's actually something I've been bringing up a lot because of the meetings I've been dragged into, and I keep getting added to more meetings, and I've had to say, like, you know, I don't have enough time to do both. Like, I'll be in meetings with people that don't actually do the work, so I'll be told what work needs to get done. A lot of times I know what it is, and a lot of times I just have to go through, like, where we're at with it. Like, you ever see that meetings that could have been emails? It's that. That's exactly what it is. But then it puts me behind, again, another half hour. So, like, now I've done this meeting and I've lost a half hour of work, so now I'm a half hour further behind. So I've said that, and that's kind of what it feels like. So if you extrapolate that out towards the pressures and difficulties of just being you, or being me in my case, what does removing yourself from these things actually look like? So in my case, what would actually pulling back from what I am and what I do look like? So it's a vacation from work, time off from work, put the band on hiatus, stop doing this show, which would necessarily, you know, stop the podcast and the video, the replay of the top 20 and stuff like that. If I was in soccer season, I would have to stop coaching soccer. And then, is it just up to the mountains by yourself? Like, going to be like, Howard Hughes and become a recluse? Now, even if that was possible, just for a moment, even if that was possible to do, what does it look like when you come back? What does re-entry actually look like? I think it's a disaster. I think everything that you were trying to get away from is going to be there and intensified because you weren't there to sort of tend that garden. And if your life is anything like mine, like, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of tending to things. I feel like I put out fires every single day. And I can't even imagine what those fires would look like if I ignored them for a week, a month, a couple months. Can't even imagine. So the problem really then becomes, like, if you do take this respite and you do try and unplug completely for a little while, and I'm not talking about, like, you know, the digital vacations I take and social media vacations I take. I know I feel really bad, like, 'cause I really withdraw from social media often these days, and I feel bad if people are trying to reach me, and I am super sorry about that kind of stuff. I feel sorry for like any comments I'm supposed to be answering and just haven't. There are just some times and some periods in my life where I just simply cannot engage in it because it's not even that I don't have the resources to do it. I just don't have the heart. I don't have the spirit to do it. And, you know, and endure things that are going to happen because of it. Like, now, and that might sound childish or whatever, but like, it's honest, and it's definitely a place that I can speak from and speak about very, very well, very often. So it's not that. It's not just these, you know, digital vacations or whatever, or social media vacations. Like, it's literally like trying to unplug your life to recover yourself. But I don't think you can do that and come back. I can't even think of an example where people do that. I mean, I guess I've heard anecdotes over the years where people like go away to a tropical island and they come back and they're like, "Oh my God, I feel so refreshed. I can't wait to get to work and hit the ground running." But I feel like they're just anecdotes. I don't even feel like I know those people. I don't even know that they're real people. I can't remember a single real person telling me that in my lifetime. And if that's the best you can hope for after something like that, and your life isn't super complicated, like, I don't know what hope the rest of us have trying to figure those things out and navigate those things. I can't even imagine. So I think the answer is, like, if you're going to actually try and do something like that, I think it needs to be permanent. I don't see another way around it. Maybe years after, like when you're just a different person inside and out, maybe it's possible. I really don't know. But I don't see a path forward that allows for that sort of break without coming back into what would either be the hardest of brick walls or the hottest of dumpster fires. I don't see any other way around it. And just in terms of the environment around us now, socially and in society, like, I think things are going to get much, much worse. And I am not looking to be any sort of harbinger of despair or anything like that. And I'm certainly not looking to be anybody's albatross. Lord knows I've done plenty of that. But just like, I don't know. I don't want to be like all hope is lost, but like, I don't see a single path forward that allows people like me and people like you to just really pull back and reset and re-enter. I don't think all three of those are possible anymore. That sucks. That sucks a lot. Because then it's, well, what do we do? And I honestly have no idea. Maybe I'll figure it out by next week, but probably not.